This is one of the commonest questions which I'm asked. Vivek, how should I develop my body language? Now let's understand the entire aspect of body language. This is going to be a quite a comprehensive take on body language. There are two fundamental questions to be answered when it comes to body language. Number one is, what is a good body language when it comes to public speaking? That means, how should my gesture and posture be? How should be my facial expression? How should I keep my hand? How should my eye contact be? These are some of the common questions I get about body language, also about voice modulations, etc. So one question is, what is a good body language? And second question is, how do I develop good body language? Okay. Now I'm not going to focus much on the first question because there are literally hundreds, probably thousands of videos which are made on this topic, that what is a good body language. Thumb rule is, whenever or whatever posture and gesture expresses your confidence and happiness, that is considered a good body language. And thumb rule says that our body usually expands whenever we are happy. We claim more territory. Our shoulders are more straight, our chest is more straight, our breathing is more rhythmic, our eye contact is a little more confident, we look into eyes of people, our hands move naturally, all those things. So I'm not going to dwell much upon that. But I want to try to answer the second question. And the second question is, how do I develop body language? Now, to understand the answer of this question, you need to first understand one more question, or answer of one more question is, what causes body language? Body language is the effect. What is the cause of your body language? So there are three key things which, in my view, creates body language in anyone. First thing is, how are you feeling at that moment? That affects your body language. Second thing is, how clear you are about something. More the clarity, you're going to be a little more confidence. In any communication, usually the flow of idea or the flow of energy, if you can put it loosely, is going to be from the person who is more confident towards the person who is a little less confident. Person who is more clear towards the person who is a little less clear. So your body language, first two component is what? How are you feeling at that particular moment? Number two, how clear you are about whatever you are going to talk. And number three, how familiar you are to that place, to those people. These three are the key things which influence your body language. Okay. Now, before you try to answer this question is, how should I develop body language? You need to actually think about this question is, do I need to improve my body language? Because most people are naturally going to bring their body language in sync of their feeling. Whatever way I am feeling, I am going to show up my body language. So if I'm feeling nervous, then nervousness would show up in my body language. I would fumble. My hand gestures will not be perfect. I may be standing, firmly at one place, or I may be making too many unnecessary movements. Some people would end up playing with their chains, their rings, all those fidgety movements would happen if I'm not confident. If I am not confident at that particular moment. If I'm not clear, it would show up in my body language. If I'm not familiar to the audience, if I'm in a new territory, in an alien space, I'm going to feel a little more conscious, and that would show up in my body language. That means if I have to give my perfect body language, I have to work on how I feel, how clear am I, and how familiar I can become with the audience where I'm going to speak. And if my body language comes naturally correct, if I do not have a wrong pattern, then I don't need to work on my body language. I don't need to correct it. What I need to work upon is on my confidence, on my clarity, and on developing the familiarity by giving myself more and more exposure to the new places, new audience, new topics. That will automatically solve my problem of body language, because moment my emotions are positive, my body language would be positive. So does that mean I don't need to work on my body language at all? No, it doesn't mean that. There is a category of people who may have wrong patterns or who are not very expressive, who do not involve their body in their natural way of speaking. Somehow they have developed a particular style of speaking where their body language doesn't show up. They speak with straight face. They don't use their hand gestures. And it looks like speaking to them is a very dry affair. You cannot see that involvement, that emotion. Those people probably need to work on body language, at least up to an extent that it doesn't look abnormal to the person who is listening. Now comes the point, how do you modify your existing pattern of body language? That is the biggest challenge here. And here is what you need to understand before I talk about that. Understand this one thing, that speaking effectively on any topic, this is a higher cognitive activity. That means you involve higher centers of your brain. This takes a lot of energy, focus, awareness in order to become a good speaker. This takes all your resources. And any activity which involves too many things into it, which requires your attention to move on to too many things, how do you become good in that? The mechanism is simple. The mechanism is the part of it which is not variable. You master it to the level that it becomes automatic. I'm repeating. It may sound a little complex, but try to understand it. Any activity which requires your higher cognitive functions, which requires your complete focus, involvement, and too much of mental attention. Any such activity, if you have to become good in that, then the part of that activity which is stable, which is not variable, which is constant, needs to become automatic, needs to be mastered, where your conscious mind need not work on that, so that you can keep your conscious mind available for other important things which are variable in nature. Let me give you a simple example for you to understand it. Driving a car involves lot of active decision making and lot of things. You have to first keep your eye on the road and also know about what is the path I have to take. You have to know about your destination, you have to know about the path, the directions, and you also have to know about what is happening on the road, reactions of the people, whatever is happening. You have to know all those things. This is a variable thing. You cannot change it. You cannot fix it. This is a variable thing. Every time you are driving, there is a different scenario. That means every time you have to keep your eye on the road. So this is one thing which you cannot fix in advance. But there is another part of driving, which is holding the steering or keeping your eyes on the accelerator or brake and clutch, and shifting appropriate gear according to the speed, all those aspects, giving an indicator, following traffic rules, all these things also need your attention. But these are static in nature. There is no variable in that. So what you do when you are learning driving in the initial phase, if you have ever noticed anybody who is learning driving, or if you can recollect when you learned driving, even for pressing the brake, you had to once look down. When you were changing the gear, probably your focus went away from the road and you started looking at the gear, because you were doing all these things consciously. And when this was happening, maybe your car, if you were learning a car, maybe it went on one side of the road, and somebody who was teaching you to look on the road, don't look down, they had to tell you, because at that time that activity was being done by your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind has not yet taken up that activity. So how do you learn driving? In the beginning of the driving, they keep you on a familiar territory, on a simpler path, where there is no traffic, where there is least expectation of any kind of accident, maybe it's an open ground where you don't have to bother too much about what is in front of you so that you can involve your conscious mind in other things. And you do it frequently, and with that, what happens slowly, you give your body the practice and the reflex develops. And now, after few days of practice, you no more need to look down when you have to press the brake pedal. You no more need to look at the gear when you have to shift a gear. You start doing it with a little more ease, and slowly, these things become automatic. Once your body has learned these things, your body has learned to handle them effectively without the need of your conscious mind. Your subconscious mind has taken it. Now you expose yourself to little more challenging territories. Now you go on the path where there is traffic. And just because everything else can be done automatically, now you can focus on the road and navigate through that. So any difficult activity, when you have to learn that which requires too much involvement of so many aspects of your brain, you first master those things which are constant. And those things which are variable, you handle them at a later stage. Now apply this to public speaking and body language. The body language has to be always in the sync of whatever you are talking. And body language depends upon three things, as I told you. How are you feeling? What is your clarity? And third aspect is what is your familiarity with that place or on that topic. If you can begin to master one story, one incident, one thing in the beginning of your training of body language. Let us say I have a faulty body language pattern and I want to master it. Do not do the mistake of learning a particular speech or talking extempore and many other challenging things and at the same time focusing on your body language. You would fail. That's a wrong method. Don't do that. Don't think that, okay, I'm delivering a talk. Now I have to focus on the content. I also have to focus on the organization of the content. I also have to focus on my voice modulation, where I have to increase my voice, where I have to get into low pitch, all those things. I also have to see that I'm looking into eyes of people. I'm framing the proper pattern, S or Z, or I'm also thinking about how are my hands, how is my leg, all those things. This is humanly impossible to think of all these things and still speak sense. It won't happen. So what do? In the beginning, you take one simple story, maybe your introduction, something very simple, and you try to talk on that repeatedly. So that the territory, the target, the content is not your problem. And you keep your focus on your body language, on your voice modulations, on your eye contact. Maybe you look into camera and speak. Maybe you talk in front of very familiar people, your brother, sister, cousins, best friends, etc. You talk with them. Here, it's like, compare it to learning car. In the beginning, you're learning it into known territory. Your challenge, which is variable in nature, is not there, so that you can bring your focus on your body language. And as you master that one story, two stories, or as you master your introduction, few things with right body language, slowly your body learns. It learns to break the wrong pattern and adopt the right pattern. And once you develop ease with it, now you give yourself a bigger scope of speaking. Now you go and venture into speaking in unknown area. You maybe talk on a topic which is little more challenging. And gradually, what you have to now do is, when you're talking, you have to only focus on the content. Because that will take all your focus. Your body language will happen automatically. This is how you develop body language. First, learn all those things consciously till they become unconscious, till they are overtaken by your subconscious mind. And once there is ease in that, then take the other challenge. That's the fastest way to modify your body language related challenge. Hopefully, you got the point now.